Hi, this is Gary with MACMOST.com. Here are some new features of iOS 26 for your iPhone that you may not have heard of yet. So by now you probably heard of all the big new features of iOS 26, like the new liquid glass look. But often people have a favorite feature of a new operating system that isn't something big, but something small. So here's a look at some tiny changes that could be a big deal for some people. So first, it's now easier than ever to add your own custom ringtone in iOS. Before, you had to do all sorts of different things, often involving the GarageBand app to add a new ringtone. But now you can do it right from the Files app. So in the Files app, if you have an audio file, like an MP3 file or many other formats, you can tap and hold it and then go to Share. And one of the options you'll see down here is to add a new ringtone. Now, there's only room for 3 here, but if you tap More, then you'll see a 4th one and more below. So you can see here, Use as Ringtone is an option. You could select that, and then it adds it as a custom ringtone. It takes you right into the Settings app, into Sounds, and you could see your custom ones above the line. The sound still has to be less than 30 seconds like before, but it's so much easier to add. In fact, you can just download files online. I've actually got a bunch of them that I've had forever at macmost.com/ringtones, and you could just download these like that and then easily add them once they're in the Files app. And once you've got them in the list, you can not only add them here under ringtone, but they also appear here at the bottom under text tones as well. And in the Contacts app, you can edit any contact you want, and you can add a ringtone that's specific to that contact. Now, for years, people have been wishing for this small feature. In the Clock app, under Alarms here, you can now add an alarm and notice a new setting, the snooze duration. You no longer have to do just 9 minutes. You can select your own snooze amount and set it just for that particular alarm. Set it for something different for another alarm. Now, a big new feature of iPadOS is the addition of the Preview app, but it's also been added for the iPhone as well. And the Preview app, as you can expect, allows you to view PDFs and images just like on the Mac. There are markup tools and everything. But what's really interesting is that you can tap here and not only create a new document from the clipboard like you can on the Mac, but you can also create a new empty image, allowing you to start with a blank slate and then use markup tools to draw or add shapes or whatever you want. Hopefully this feature will come to preview on the Mac as well, but so far it's not there yet in the first beta of Tahoe. If you find these videos valuable, consider joining the more than 2,000 others that support MacMost at Patreon. You get exclusive content, course discounts, and more. You can read about it at macmost.com/Patreon. Now, in the Messages app, there's a lot of attention being paid to the new polls. But another new feature is that when you tap and hold a message like this, you can, of course, copy it just like before. But what's new now is select. And now you can select just some of the text like you can in other apps. There's also a tiny new feature that's going to be really useful to some people in Dictation, which, of course, you can use across all sorts of different apps. I'll demo it here in Messages. So I could start dictation, and I can now spell using letters. And there's no special command or gesture to do it. You just start doing it. Let me talk to Terry. T-E-R-I. About this. There's a small new feature in the Settings app. If you go to Battery, and then you have your iPhone on a charger, it will show you here how long it should take to charge, either to a partially full charge. You see 4 minutes left here till it gets to 80%, but also until it gets to 100%. It'll take 1 hour and 2 minutes at the current rate. Here's a tiny new feature in the Music app. You can go in your library to Playlists, and like before, you can use the plus button to add new playlists. You can also add folders, but on the Mac, not on iOS until now. Now, if I tap the plus button, I can create new folders right here on my iPhone. They already worked before, but you had to make them on your Mac, and then you would see them here. Now you can actually make these folders here on the iPhone. Now, in Settings, under Accessibility, there's a whole new hidden app. we go to read and speak, there's something called the accessibility reader, and I've turned it on here. And once it's on, you have to find a way to trigger it. The typical way to do that is to use the accessibility shortcut right here, which would be triple clicking the side button on this particular iPhone. And I have it set just to accessibility reader. If you select several of these, then you get a choice when you activate it. Now, if I go to an app and I'm reading something like an article or a web page, or in this case, an email, if I activate the accessibility shortcut, it goes to the accessibility reader and it shows me just the text, kind of like Reader View in Safari. But it also allows me to use the play button down here to have it speak the text to me. I can also customize how this looks by tapping on the three buttons there, and then I can customize the reader and choose different themes. Like that. I could even edit the themes here, changing the background color, the font, the size, and all of that. In the News app, if you have an Apple News Plus subscription, you have a new game. Apple's been steadily adding games like 2 different types of crossword puzzles, Sudoku, and so on. And now there's something called the Emoji game that you play by dragging sets of emoji to match the blank spaces here. I've tried it, and if you like puzzles and word games, it'll be another thing that you play every day for a few minutes. Another small but very useful setting you're going to find under General, and then go to AirPlay and Continuity. And there's a setting here for keep audio in headphones. When you turn this on, it means that if you're listening with your headphones, but then you connect, say, to your car or to another Bluetooth device, it's not going to automatically switch the audio to that device. Also here in settings, if you go to accessibility and then go down to hearing and to audio and visual, there's background sounds. And I know there are a lot of people that love this. And what's great news is now there are a whole bunch of new sounds. First set here was already available, but all these at the bottom are new. Now, the new glass look for controls means that you'll see some of the text below things. You see it here in Safari. If you bring up Control Center, you definitely see how you can see the elements below it. And some people have already said that they don't really like that. Well, you can actually turn it off using an existing accessibility feature that's still there and works really well with liquid glass. So you would go into Settings and then to Accessibility. And under Vision, there's Display and Text Size. And you've got Reduce Transparency. So if you turn that on, we can go and see how it changes those controls here at the bottom of Safari. So the color shows through just a bit. It just tints the element a tiny bit, but it doesn't make them transparent anymore. And you could see a drastic change when it comes to Control Center. And there's one last feature that isn't actually available yet in the first beta, but we expect to see it either sometime this summer or maybe just when iOS 26 is released. And that's a new feature that uses the satellite connection of your iPhone to a network of satellites. The most recent iPhones can already use this in the US and Canada to send text messages in emergency situations. But a new feature of this will be getting weather reports. As someone who often goes backcountry camping, one of the critical things when you're living outdoors for a couple of days is to get up-to-date weather reports. And if you've got no connection, you basically have to go with the report you had before you left. But now it looks like you'll be able to get updates even when there's no mobile connection at all. And there may be more hidden or tiny features of iOS 26 that have yet to be discovered or yet to appear since it's early on in the beta process. Thanks for watching. If you liked this video, click the thumbs up button below to let me know. I publish new tutorials each weekday. Hit the subscribe button so you don't miss out.